A body believed to be that of missing mother Karen Chetcuti has been found at Lake Buffalo, 40 kilometres from her home. It comes as Karen's sister describes her as a loving mother who was well known and loved by her community.
Anne has been charged with the murder of Victorian woman Karen Chetcuti. The mother of two's remains were found in the bushland near Lake Buffalo yesterday, almost a week after she was last seen alive in the nearby town of Worali.
After more than 24 hours of questioning, Michael Cardamoni's assistants led police to the grim find. A body believed to be that of Karen Chetcuti found off a gravel track at Lake Buffalo, 40 kilometres south of her hometown, Worali. This afternoon, Karen's neighbour, Cardamoni, accompanied detectives as they drove through northeast Victoria. It was a tragic end to 6 days of searching, a family now grieving for the mother of two.
Well, I haven't had a lot of sleep, but yes, I'm trying to stay strong for my girls and my mum, because my mum's so upset.
Lainey Verbunt is Karen's little sister. There's just 1 year between them. She says Karen was a very loving mother to her two teenage children. These photos taken just 8 days before she was reported missing.
It was the Discovery Police searching for Karen Chetcuti hoped they wouldn't make. Her remains located off a gravel track in scrubland near Lake Buffalo. The mother of two was last seen alive on Tuesday night. She was reported missing on Wednesday when she failed to turn up to work. On Thursday, her burnt-out car was discovered at Myrtleford. Search and Rescue Police, the Homicide Squad and Air Wing spent 6 days searching around Worali, where she lived. Their efforts coming to a tragic end yesterday afternoon. Karen's neighbour has been in custody since Sunday. Overnight, he was charged with her murder.
I watched them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me.
Welcome back everyone to the KK Factor TV show, and today is a special episode. I'm surrounded by two extraordinary and beautiful women in memory of Karen Chetcuti. Welcome to the show, Cheryl and Wendy. Girls, it's an honour to have the KK Factor TV show here covering today's beautiful but emotional event. Can you just briefly tell me what it means to you?
Well, today is all about the community getting together and showing support and raising as much money as we possibly can for Karen's two children that have been left behind, but also raising awareness that something desperately needs to happen with our justice system. What's out there at the moment is not working, and it's failed Karen, and it needs to be changed. And it needs to be changed not tomorrow, it needs to be changed yesterday, and it needs to be done now.
Correct. And Wendy, how hard emotionally was it to put today's event together?
Very hard. I think, when you're putting an event together, you might have the emotion set aside as an event manager, but we have this emotion putting this together. It's from our hearts, the passion that we have had to put this together, and we've worked over 14, 15, 16 hours.
14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's Australia Day. That's Saturdays and Sundays. We there hasn't been much sleep. There's been a lot of things that go involved that hidden little things that need to be done. And Wendy and I together with the rest of the committee and with the volunteers, we couldn't have done it. It's been a big joint effort, hasn't it, Wendy?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just enjoyed the beautiful release of the balloons in memory of Karen Chetcuti. Welcome to the KK Factor Show. The KK Factor TV show is honoured to be a part of Broken Hearts event in memory of Karen Chetcuti, and it's an honour also to have on our show justice campaigner and an Australian icon, Mr. Darren Hinch. Darren, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Darren, an amazing event, a very emotional event. You're fighting to change justice. I want to just touch on 150 years ago. From what I believe and research, the system was very different. I believe that the mental Alzheimer's used to be put into an institute or a jail, a so-called jail, but it was a community there where they tried to live as normal as a life, possibly. And they used to work, they used to go to school. What has changed?
Well, you've got the two different categories here. You've got people who have mental illnesses who are not criminals, and then you've got the criminally insane or the criminally affected. Now, you used to have, in Victoria, there was the Thomas Embling Hospital, which was sounded very mild, but it actually was a hospital for the criminally insane or people who could be held in sort of prison-like circumstances, but it was a medical facility. That sort of then changed. You had, which was laudable in some ways, that you had there were people who should not have been in mental institutions who were committed to mental institutions. So when they tried the changing of getting people out in the community, people with mild disabilities found that the more they were in a normal community and schools and whatever with special needs, the better they were and the more quickly rehabilitated some of them were. But for the criminally insane, which is what concerns me, they were almost treated like they weren't criminals. So Thomas Embling we had criminals there who, if they'd been in a real prison and they'd escaped, there'd be a huge alert for a jail escape. But because they were, quote, patients or clients, they were treated differently. And there would be times like when a serious criminal who'd been walked away while on a day outing at South Bank, they wouldn't report it for 3 days. Well, I remember a case where a guy walked into a police station 4 days later, and because they'd blurred the lines, and we've had some terrible cases of assaults inside these places. The most recent case on this walk we're doing today for Karen reminds me of what we did for Masa Vukotic, and her killer. He got 6 years at Thomas Embling before he ended up going into jail. And here's a man who should never have been out on parole, should never have been released into the community again, facing charges. I mean, after she was murdered, after Massa was murdered, I had sat on these tapes, this videotape I'd had for 5 months of Price being interviewed by police. He'd been boasting on tape that I'll be out in 12 days, I'm going to slit people's throats, I'm going to kill people, I'm going to do this.
Do you think that, they're inside, they're being fed, they've got a bed. Do you think that once they're outside, although to them it's I'm going to be released, whether it's a day or a few weeks or forever, they've come out and they find it very difficult because now they're in an environment where they don't have a bed, they don't have a meal ready for them.
You're right. In some cases, now, and this is one of the downsides of the so-called tougher parole conditions and day release conditions, which has been caused by some of the demonstrations, etc. But because when I was last time I was in jail, he says, last time I was in jail, they were telling me how angry they were because they weren't getting day release. Now, day release is a very important part, getting back to your original question, because some of these men, say at Langi Kalkal, they're in the final 4 months or 5 months of their sentence. They may have done 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 years. The idea of letting them out on day release to buy some clothes, to go to a supermarket, that's very important, because some of them have no connection. I mean, I remember seeing a class on how to use a mobile phone going on in a prison, and I said, that's a bit weird. They said, no, there's men in here who've never used one. You know. So they do need, but you do need to let people get out in the community. So therefore, parole is a necessity for some crimes. But there are men who should never, that early release should never be considered. I mean, there's men who, even after they've done their time,
if
they're taken alive, this
they should never be released.
These are. I agree with you on that.
And yet they are being released.
I mean, in the case of Sarah Cafferty's killer had killed before. Jill Myers' case, all the rapes. You have George Halvargas, the man in black, who comes to all these functions with me. Little Messina, Dupas should never have been walking the streets. So there's that category who should not be out. I mean, they should be locked up.
Exactly.
And some of the ones who are out for other crimes should be on electronic bracelets, should be permanently on an electronic bracelet. I mean, for Christ's sake, I wore one for 5 months under house arrest for contempt of court. You know, so I was no, that wasn't contempt of court.
I'm just wondering if you actually did that on purpose, so you can get inside and actually learn exactly how it all works as a justice campaigner.
Let me tell you, doing 2 weeks of solitary confinement is no fun.
It's no fun, but educational in some way.
You
would have learnt a lot.
I know what I'm talking about.
Correct.
I know what I'm talking about.
Darren, if you had the authority to make these changes, what sort of changes would you put in place?
I would make more maximum sentences served than minimums. When I very first time went to jail was 30 years ago over naming a pedophile priest, and I was amazed by people in those jails would talk about 953, and I'd say 953. That meant 9 top, 5 bottom, 3 out. So 9 was the maximum. 5 was the minimum, and 3 they'll be out. They automatically got a third off remission for good behaviour, whether you behaved or not. And now that is changing. At least the last time I was inside in Langi Kalkal prison, I saw guys coming back from their parole hearing saying, oh, they've demanded another report, or my minimum's up in 3 months, I should be out. And I hear guards saying to them, look, your minimum means minimum, you may serve your max. So if you ask me what would I do, I'd make that tougher. I'd have more people, when they are released, be under supervision. The electronic bracelet idea, the village of the damned in Ararat is a very good idea. But there are some people, for some crimes, and in cases of the killers of some of the people we've mentioned, they've lost their right to remain in this country. Now,
As you all know, we're here today not only in memory of Karen, but also to raise funds for her family, particularly her children. There's amazing things happening around here. There's a sausage sizzle for all of you who are hungry, especially after that long, long walk that I didn't do, so my apologies. And there's also a photo booth. Who loves photos? We all love our selfies. We all love having photos with our friends and family, pulling faces or in costume. I do believe someone's in costume around here. There's Batman lurking around. So guys, go down the back of the hotel and meet Sue. Also go and check out all the auction items. There's some beautiful things that are going to be auctioned out and things that you can buy. I'm actually going to go there now, so if you want to come up and say hello to me, I'll be right around there. And who knows, we, as in I, Willica Colours from the KK Factor radio and TV show, could be around talking to you, and you could get on our TV show on Channel 31 and Aurora Foxtel. So come up if you want to be interviewed. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around at the auction section, where I'm going to leave my money as well.
us. Mark, welcome. Why are you here today?
Look, I grew up in Blackburn South, so I suppose I feel a connection to the circumstances of why we're here today, and yeah, that's where I grew up, so that's why I'm here, and to catch up with a lot of old friends that I went to school with.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you. Jacinta, welcome to our show. What does today's event mean to you?
I think it's about community and people sticking together. I think that's one of the most important things in our society, that the community is broken down, and this just points to when a tragedy happens, that people can join together.
We are here with Mark and Damon, the men wearing blue, in memory of Karen Chetcuti. Gentlemen, welcome to our show. What does today's event mean to you?
Well, look, I think all this stuff that's been going on with people that have been released, it should never happen, and she's a very special lady, and sadly missed by her family and friends, and pretty pathetic letting these people out of jail early.
So yeah, it's just they shouldn't be released, and if they hadn't been released, we wouldn't be here today having this celebration for Karen's life and raising money for the kids. It just should never have happened, and it needs to stop sooner rather than later.
Welcome to our show. Now, I believe you went to school with Karen.
Yes, I went to year 10, 11 and 12 with her.
What does today's event mean to you?
I'm down here to support her family and to support her cause. I think the current law, the balance of risk is too heavily against the community safety, and we need to do something about it.
Welcome to our show, Judy. Judy, you went to school with Karen.
Yes, I did. I was in school, primary school and high school, and went to the same kinder.
How do you feel today?
Quite emotional. Yeah, don't ask me that.
That's okay.
I'm trying to put on a brave face, but it's unbelievable that it happened to Karen. She didn't deserve it.
No, the releasing of the 20 balloons was absolutely beautiful.
I was actually down here. I had to stay down here, but I was at the releasing of the doves. Yeah, great turnout, but something needs to be done with the justice system.
And also to keep remembering Karen.
Yes, indeed. And now to support her children.
Mr. George Alvarez, it's an honour to meet you in person, in memory here of Karen Chetcuti, and also in memory of your daughter, Messina.
Thank you.
It's been a long road for you. What does today's event mean to you?
Today's event, it means that Messina is very close, and every time anything like this had happened, it's very close to home for us. And as the people mourning today, the lady, we mourn the same, because we feel the same way that they feel. And everything that happens, it's not far from my house. It's the same thing. We're going to get the government to stop letting the criminals out, and the only way this can stop is by stopping them, because the government keeps on making money because of the death of our children and our loved ones, because they let him out to save $100,000 a year, and they have to start telling us where are they when they let him out, because that lady, that person was living right next door to her. And same with my daughter Messina. Went to put flowers on my mother's grave, and he was there to kill a lady, and my daughter happened to go. But just everything that happens, the government is going to start putting their socks up and do something about it.
Mr. George Alvarez, you're an honourable Greek man. Thank you, and we welcome to our show, and thank you once again for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Zoisimas.
Zoisis, yes.
I hope you enjoyed the KK Factor Show. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, Rula Krikalis, and don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe to see all the latest episodes, past episodes, bloopers and full interviews.